So we have children that come through our doors. We serve about 1,000 kids a year through our mental health service. At any given time, we have about 60 foster youth. Our foster care is specialized, so it's for the hard-to-place youth, the youth that have had multiple transitions in their lives.
Okay.
So the children with the mental health challenges can be foster youth, but it also can be youth in the community that are struggling with school or some sort of anxiety or depression, self-harm.
And now I have the pleasure of being joined by Dr. Laura Heintz. She's the CEO of Stanford Youth Solutions. How you doing, Laura?
I'm doing great.
Thank you for joining me on the program today. And, we've been talking about gratitude, right, with it being Thanksgiving weekend. I'd like to get an overview of your organization and maybe a little bit about what you're grateful for on this kind of weekend.
Sure. Stanford Youth Solutions is focused on finding families for youth that have been in the foster care system. We also do a lot with family preservation, so families that are facing crises, especially mental health crises for their children, and we work with the whole family system to preserve the family or reunify them. And we also help in general with mental health services for young people.
Okay. And, with it being Thanksgiving, we both have a mutual friend, Craig Hetrick, he's a guy who I'm thankful for. He's the president of this, of your board. Is that right?
That's right.
And how's he working out for you?
And I'm particularly grateful for him, too. Craig is a go-getter. He keeps on.
Okay.
And he expects results, which I do, too. And I love having a board member like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's talk about your services. You kind of broke it up into 2 or 3 areas. I'm thinking about the foster kids. Talk to me about the special needs that a foster child might have.
So often foster youth have experienced many traumatic experiences, not just 1 or 2. They've been removed from their families, typically because 86% of them it's because of neglect. Other things have happened. There's a lot of chaos in the family system. But then at the same time, they're removed into stranger homes, which is also traumatic. So you're dealing with complex trauma there. And that is something that our staff have to be particularly trained in, well-trained, and so do the families that we find to open their homes to these children. They have to really understand the trauma issues also.
What are the biggest challenges you run into? I mean, is there a shortage of families? Is there a shortage anywhere? I'm just thinking about all the different challenges we have in entrepreneurship. I'm assuming you face those same kind of challenges.
Absolutely. We always need families. What happens, because we focus on permanency, every child deserves a long-term permanent family. Often our families adopt the children.
Oh, okay.
Or become permanent families. Then they are no longer our foster families. So then we have to recruit new families. So it's a constant process of finding families who are equipped or willing to be equipped to open their homes to young people.
Well, I can imagine a parent or a foster parent wondering, if do I have to bring on the whole family? Like, if sometimes there's brothers and sisters, right? And so a foster parent might only have so much capacity. How do you wrestle with those kind of issues?
Right. We would love to have families that can take in a whole sibling set. Having come from a large family, that would really have disrupted my life if I had been separated from my siblings. However, if there's identified needs, a youth that needs a particular skill set build, like a teenager that is ready to emancipate, there may be a situation where we find a family that wants to work on emancipation with that child, and then we find another family that takes the younger children and they see each other regularly. Actually, that's part of the process, too, of our families creating their own community within our organization.
So with there being a shortage of families, or call it parents, foster parents, there's got to be a huge screening process that happens so that you make sure that the children get put with the most appropriate set of parents. How does that process work?
So from the beginning, when we first expose a family to what it takes to be a foster parent. There's lots it takes. There's lots of requirements because first and foremost, the kids have to be safe in the home. But we walk along beside them to ensure that they can follow the requirements because it can be overwhelming. But also at the same time, we're looking at what are they equipped to do? How could they serve? How many children could they serve? What age groups? And then what children we have coming through the pipeline. Basically what's sad to me is that we turn away. We can't place 8 children every day. 8 children don't have homes because we don't have enough families to match them to. But we specifically match our youth to the family because we know that that is a more stable placement. One less house that they have to go to, right?
Yeah. Is there a certain geographic focus for Stanford?
Yes, we're in the region. This we call it the capital region. So Yolo, Placer, El Dorado, Sacramento is our primary. That's our base.
Is there certain areas of the region that are more predisposed to needing your help? I mean, is there any commonality in terms of geographic?
The
needs?
need is everywhere.
It's everywhere. It could be here in Placer County. It could be right in the heart of Sacramento.
That's right. Wow. It's everywhere, rural and city.
And how do you find the parents? So I'm wondering how you find them. If that's the big challenge, how do we help you to overcome that challenge? Is there anything that the community can do?
Number one way is word of mouth. So it's a foster parent promoting what they do, saying what they've gotten out of it, or this young person that's with them and how beautiful they are. And this is a foster youth that I took into my home, or later they adopted, et cetera. They have their stories, right? Our foster parents are the best recruiters of other foster families.
Yeah. Well, we all know of Dale Carlson and his generosity to this cause, but I'm wondering, how do you partner with other charitable organizations, other key individuals? What do those partnerships look like?
We have lots of partnerships at all different levels, from whether we partner with the family resource centers to ensure that families get additional support services so that they can succeed, to other agencies like ours with joint recruitment. So we share our recruitment. Sacramento County has a big push right now on recruiting foster families across the county, and you can do that anywhere, so that you could have actually a fair, like a job fair, and the families can check out each of the organizations and figure out which is the best fit for them, because we all have a kind of our unique personality and how we work with our families, and a family can choose us too.
Okay. Are there certain children that are harder to place because of some certain challenges that they might be facing?
Well, large sibling sets are a challenge to place, but also children that have had some runaway behavior, where they've struggled in staying in a family home. Usually you have to figure out why they're running away, and that will help a lot. But often it's about safety, but it's also sometimes they're running to something.
Let's bounce to the other side of your business, if you will. As I see it, the other side is on the mental health side of things.
Yes.
Okay, talk to us about what you do there and the challenges that that people are facing and that you're trying to resolve.
So we have children that come through our doors. We serve about 1,000 kids a year through our mental health service.
And maybe I can bounce up. How many do you serve on the foster side?
So at any given time, we have about 60 foster youth.
Okay, 60 foster youth placed at a time. Okay.
Yes.
But the other side seems to be bigger.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, our foster care is specialized, so it's for the hard-to-place youth, the youth that have had multiple transitions in their lives.
Okay.
So the children with the mental health challenges can be foster youth, but it also can be youth in the community that are struggling with school or some sort of anxiety or depression, self-harm. A lot of our kids have come in and out of the hospitals, which actually cost a lot of money. So our job is to keep the kids out of the hospital, to keep them safe in their families, in the community.
How do you help them?
So we do a lot of evidence-based practices. You've probably heard that word. That means practices that have been proven to be effective with that specific population. So we do something called functional family therapy. A lot of our work is with the whole family system. That is targeted for our probation youth, because a lot of our probation youth have multiple struggles, and the whole family system is basically worked with and walk through to a change, a transformation, about 16 weeks, and the whole family can change through that work. It's very prescriptive.
At what stage does someone like your team, you and your team, get brought in? Is that's after an incident? Are you dealing with maybe people who have gotten in trouble?
Yes.
Okay.
So in our probation program, that's exactly what happens is our kids have actually gotten in trouble with the law. Our youth in the other capacity, the pure mental health referrals come through psychiatric hospitalizations and after they've been released, or through the school referral, or the parents call on their own, but the children have to qualify. So they've had some significant incident before they come to us.
So you're dealing on both sides of the business with areas that for the average person, they're very disturbing in a way. They might even be scary if there's violence involved. I mean, how do you deal with the stress and anxiety of so much potential negativity in your life, right? It's got to be difficult.
Well, that's one of the biggest challenges is workforce retention, our staff, and attracting the right staff that actually have the philosophy of wellness and support the whole child family team work, because we vision from the very beginning, where does this family want to be? We do the visioning with them through child family teaming. So our staff are involved. Our focus is not that we are curing or whatnot. We are supporting this family through their journey in wellness and recovery. So understanding that we're partners helps our staff to understand it's not all on them. We're a partnership and we work in teams. But we also do a lot of work on self-care and ensuring that we appreciate our staff, we recognize them, we do a lot of special things for them, and a lot of development opportunities.
How do you recognize a success story? I'm thinking about measuring success. That's what we do in business, and I'm just wondering, sometimes it's very difficult to see a long-term success story, but what kinds of things do you look for in motivating your team and in knowing that you're winning?
So our organization is very results focused. I'm personally very competitive. Just so
nice.
You know. When you said winning, I'm like, that's what it's about. It's winning. So our focus is really developing annually. We have a strategic plan that we work off of, and then we develop an annual operating plan from that. And each program, each department has very specific measurable goals. And the staff work with their individual supervisors on their goal that actually feeds into the department goal that feeds up into the strategic plan. So each person has ownership on the ultimate objective. And we measure that regularly in individual consult and then quarterly in our executive team, quarterly at the board level.
Wow.
And then we, at the end, have merit-based pay based on the individual results from each staff.
You sound like a very organized woman. So 2 questions. Where did you develop your chops for this? And more, where did your compassion come from? Because not everybody wants to jump into this line of work.
So I grew up out in the country. I was a 4-H'er.
Nice.
I learned
Country girl.
entrepreneurship back then, yes.
Okay.
Where you had to figure out how to pay to raise your animal and then get the return, right?
Yes.
That's a component. Also sports. Sports
Yes.
are also a big part of my early life. But my mom would bring kids into the home. I have some adopted siblings, and that made a difference for me. I'm the youngest of the original group, right? And so I was really shaped by seeing transformation within my own family system. And one of my sisters in particular with significant disabilities, the things she's been able to do in her life has always inspired me.
You think about people like your mom that have done that for other people. I mean, what would you say to your mom about, the way that she has lived her life and a way to it's passed on to the next generation?
Thank you. I'm very grateful for my mom, and she's still working hard. She has her own business still.
Well, very, very cool. Well, I'm also just sort of wondering, what can we do as the community? We say, get the word out. What does that mean? This time of year, I can imagine that people are all in that mode of gratitude. What can we do if we're feeling grateful? Can we get involved? Do you have events? What's getting involved with Stanford look like?
So we do. We have we have something called a holiday store that we, I was a social worker a long time ago, and one of the things we would do is give kids Christmas gifts on our own through whatever. And it never felt right to me, especially when their families couldn't afford to give them presents. So now what we do is we stock our holiday store so that the families, all of our families, can come in and select presents for the children that really are specific, like the right color, the thing that that child wants, and they give them the gifts, not us. So we stock the store. They don't pay for them. They come in and they shop, they fill a stocking, and then they're able to give the gifts to their children.
Well, walk me into that store. Where is it? What does it look like when I walk in the store? And then I assume as somebody who might be able to contribute, what do I give to the store to help?
So it's a pop-up store. So we set it up right at our office.
Okay.
So all our families know where it is.
And where's your office?
It's at Folsom and Watts, right on the corner, Stanford Youth Solutions.
And it's only for your clientele.
Yes, specifically.
Okay. Not open to the public to come
right.
buy stuff.
That's right. And they basically set up a time because we don't want the last folks to have very little, so we basically set up and we restock throughout, and we have volunteers that help us restock. And it's a variety of things from little children's things to teenagers. Teenagers are a little harder to buy for, so it's like, how do we stock? They like different things. So, but we stock throughout. We have a wish list of items that people prefer and would like, and then we just restock. We have Jeffrey. He's spelled with a J. He's a big giraffe, and he greets everybody. And then there's Christmas trees and ornaments, and it looks very festive, but it's very organized also for age groups so that the families can get through pretty quickly.
So in terms of contributing, so do we go to a website? Do we drive over to your office? I'm just thinking about I like to take my grandkids Christmas shopping. We did this last year, and then give the gifts to a needy family. And we worked. Can't even remember who we worked through in terms of giving these gifts away. But people want to help these kind of stories, and I'm just wondering, how do we help? Obviously, the easiest things are write a check, but sometimes I'm trying to teach my grandkids how to think similar, to maybe the way your parents thought, or your mom thought. So I'm wondering, what can I do to help them through this process?
So StanfordYouthSolutions.org is our website. You can actually sign up to volunteer also. You can reach out through the website. We have kids help us set up the store and restock the store. We have kids help us with the ribbon cutting event. And we even have kids that have put together bikes and brought in the bikes for the kids, special requests, the bicycles. We can't give to everybody, but when a child needs a bike, we have kids that'll help put them together.
Wow.
So it's pretty exciting. There's lots of different ways. You can help wrap presents, set it up, everything, yeah.
Well, just in closing thoughts, what else would you like, you say get the word out, what else would you like the community of the Sacramento region to know about you? Any closing thoughts?
So I think it's critically important to know that nonprofits have to actually cover their costs. And a lot of folks don't understand that. They think, you lose money. You can't. We have to cover our costs so that we can reinvest in our staff, in what we serve, in our training, making sure that what we say we do, we can deliver on. Our infrastructure is critically important, just like any other business. And that is essential for quality services. So a lot of times that is missed when people think you're running a nonprofit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Dr. Laura Heintz, she's bringing in an entrepreneurial approach to this huge needs that we have right here in our region. She's the CEO of Stanford Youth Solutions. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You bet. If you like our entrepreneurial stories, if you like the messages that we bring that inspire, if you want a little more Mark Haney, not everybody does, but if you do, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to be part of our community, engage, comment, share. I want to get to know you better. You want to get to know me better. Follow me on all our social media platforms at The Mark Haney. I look forward to knowing you better, and let's get to know each other better so we can help build these businesses that we love.